Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on this Roxor again. The bearings you seen me in that last video take out of my passenger side, I'm going to be repacking them, putting my bearings and hub and all the brakes back on, and getting this thing where I can ride and drive it again. I know our videos is not coming out as often as they were, with both of us working, and all that is taking up a bunch of our time, and we're not getting to make as many videos. But like I said, me and Hillbilly, we're going to be making some videos. We just might be making them in him making one and me making another one separate. You know, I mean, we're not able to get together like we were as much. So I know he's going to be working on his side by side that he's got, putting the axle and all in that. So y'all stay tuned to that. But anyway, in the last video, y'all seen that the bearings on the driver's side and the passenger side was really dry. Luckily, I haven't drove this thing on the highway much at all at any speed, or I'd probably burnt my bearings. I mean, I'm assuming everybody's is not like this, because in some states you can get these things street legal. Texas is not one of them. And people are driving them 70, 75 down the road, you know, on the interstate and stuff, and got, you know, regular miles on them like a regular vehicle, you know. But maybe they went through and checked everything before they tried that, and or maybe they just got lucky. I don't know. But like I said in the last video, I like the Roxor. I think it's a good little machine. It's just hands putting them together. They need some better quality control or something. You need more grease in the bearings, more, just make sure you go from bumper to bumper, make sure all the bolts is tied on it. Just little simple stuff like that. Stuff your dealer should be doing. Like I said, we're not big into these how-to videos. It's just something that I thought I could share some of my knowledge with some of the other Roxor people, or people that, you know, just everyday people that's maybe not a mechanic or something, but just, you know, got a little garage and they don't mind doing some tinkering on them. In a weekend's time, you could take the front end apart on yours and check it out, and save you a lot of money by not running your bearings in them. Just go and repack your own bearings. In this video, I've kind of shot this thing out of sequence. I've already packed the bearings and all this, already been filmed. Now I've packed the bearings, but if I was going to put the bearings in and not, if I wasn't going to pump grease in the hubs like I'm going to tell you later on in the video I'm going to do, then I would pack the bearings like I did, but I would have more grease on the outer bearings, outside of the bearings. I'd have more grease in the races and all that. I wouldn't have been so stingy with my grease, but I knew I was going to pack the whole hub full of grease with a grease gun. So, but anyway, other than that, that's the only thing I do different. I am running a little experiment. The driver's side ones, they was low on grease too, but all I did was put them back in there, took the spacer and all out, put them back in there and pumped them full of grease. And the passenger side one, I took them apart, cleaned them, and packed them full of grease, and then I'm going to pump the hub full of grease and all that with a grease gun. Y'all don't forget to like and subscribe to our videos, or to our YouTube channel. And we're getting a lot of views on this Roxor stuff, and I appreciate everyone that watches. Y'all go check out some of our other content. The 061 International, we got the carburetor soaking on it, and I got a set of tires for the back. We're going to be doing a video on it pretty soon. But anyway, oh yeah, and LS swap on the Jeep and the old square body Chevrolet is going to be coming soon. In fact, that's going to be next big project to start, is that. So most especially on the square body Chevrolet. I've already got some of my stuff gathered up, and I'm in the mood to get it done. Alright, so enough of all that. Let's get this party started. Try to get these bearings washed. I got some of this free gasoline, you know, that we're all having to pay for nowadays. Everything that I'm showing you, I mean, as you can see, my parts washer is a gallon jug or a 2-gallon jug. Just cut the side out of it, and then you got the lid still on it, and you can pour that out into a bucket to reuse later, or a jug or whatever, you know. Everything I'm showing you, anybody with just a little bit of common sense and mechanic skills can do it. And if you got the want to and want to learn and a little bit of common sense, you can go to Harbor Freight, buy you $150 tool set. Make sure you get Pittsburgh because it's guaranteed for life. I don't care what people say about Harbor Freight. You can get good stuff and you can get bad stuff. If you get the Pittsburgh stuff, it's guaranteed for life. And so far I've never broke a Pittsburgh tool. But like with my impacts and sawzall and grinder and drill and everything else, winches that we get from them, we've never had them say, we can't exchange that. You did this or you did that. Most of what I show you or tell you, it's just my opinion of my way of doing it. You can do it your way, you can have your own opinion or whatever. That's up to you. One thing I'm going to show you here in a little bit is fact. It ain't just my opinion. Don't do it. Alright, put a lid on it. Use it again another day. This is one thing that might be a luxury item to some of y'all, is air. If you don't have air, you can take paper towel or whatever. Don't really use a rag, well, especially a fluffy rag. You get the little cotton pieces in there, and it will, if they come off in there, it could stick and gouge your bearings. So don't never take, let me see if I can show y'all. I'll just go right towards the camera. Don't never take and spin your bearings to dry them. You'll ruin your bearings quick, fast, and in a hurry. You can blow them and hold them still and not let them spin, but don't blow them and rotate them. You just, you know how as a kid when somebody tells you not to do something, you do it anyway just to see what happens? I had never blowed a bearing that rotate until I was told not to. I said, man, that ain't no way. I got out there and I got to blowing it and drying it off and all. Next thing I knew, that song gonna come loose in my hand. And it was not pretty. So just blow it out. Get your gas, diesel, whatever you need. Get it. Being as these were new bearings, or practically new, they only have 1,400 miles on them, and they had good grease in them. I didn't wash them real good, so I do have some grease coming out of them. But anyway, the way you can check if your bearings is good, you put your thumb here and your fingers here, push up on it. If you can see, and it's flush, let's see if the camera will show it. Where's the camera? There it is. All right, see how this the barrel bearing is actually taller than your race. That's the way you want it. A wore out one, or one that's got a lot of wear in it, the bearing will almost come out from under here. And that's too much play. As you can see, when you raise it up now, it's got some play. Like I said, these things didn't have enough grease in them from the factory. But anyway, I'm gonna repack them, reuse them. The races look good. It's a little teeny bit of discolor right in there. More of like a scratch, but nothing major. This one's a little worse. If they're blue or have cracks in them, or you can rub your finger in there and feel a groove, or feel, sometimes they literally have little bumps in them where the bearings have, I don't know what you call it, galled it. But anyway, it needs to be replaced. All right, let me get my grease and all, and I'm gonna show you how I pack them. As long as you get the grease all the way through and through in it, I think that's all that matters as far as I'm concerned. Make sure your hands are good and clean. So the bugs don't. Alright, here we go. Take your fingers, get some grease, put it in the palm of your hand. Yeah, might need a little more. Take the bearing. I've seen people just roll it. I've never tried that but once, and it just seemed like it was taking longer. Of course, I didn't know what I was doing, so might be why. But if you just take and just slowly force it in the big end, it'll start coming out the little end. Just keep packing it in there, packing it in there. And on a real used bearing, sometimes it'll have sharp edges, so be careful. Don't go side to side. Just go. You'll figure it out if you ever get cut. All right. See how the grease is coming up out of there? See there? Just going in one side, it's coming out the other. That's good enough. Rotate it. Don't rotate this separately from this. Just rotate the whole thing in your hand. Rotate it all in your hand and start over. Just keep going. Alrighty. Got the bearings packed. Let's get the races knocked in and the seals. Alright, so before I put this race back in here, thought I'd show you this. You can see it. Right here, there's a slit. See how this is a collar or a sleeve or collar, not a sleeve. A ridge here for your race to bottom out at. Right here, you can definitely see the one on top. And right here, right across from each other, is two cutout spots. That's for you to use a punch, come in from the other side, from the front side where you would see your lug nuts and all, and drive your race out. You hit on it a little bit, hit on it a little bit. Work it back and forth. Don't try to do it all at once on one side. 3 or 4 hits over here and 3 or 4 hits over here, and work it out. That's the way you get your races out. Just thought I'd show you all that, being I already had this stuff apart. It's got a thick side and a sharp side, a thin side. The thick side will go in first. If you put the thick side up, or the thick side towards the outside of the hub, then you can't get your bearing in. They make a special tool for this, for races and seals. I've got this old piece of brass that I don't know how long I've had it. It was my granddaddy's. I've had it probably 20 years, and it was my granddaddy's before that. Let's see here. Yeah. Take and put it across there. Tap on it. Yeah, get it started good. Once you get it started, then you can drive it in a little more. Remember, you're not trying to do this all at once. You do it a little at a time. I should have cleaned this. I should have cleaned this before I started. You'll see there'll be some loose dirt in here. Hey. Okay, as I was saying, I should have washed this before I started. When I started hammering on it, that loose dirt started coming out. You don't want to get that in your grease and in your bearings and race. Alright, I got it down pretty well flush. I'm going to use this punch to go the rest of the way. You don't bang on it, knock the soup out of it. Like I said, this ain't a race. Ain't a speed race. I'm just kind of going in a star pattern. I have seen people just go back and forth. I guess it's just your preference. Alright, you heard that? Solid. 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 That's when you know it's far enough. And it changes tone and it's solid sounding. Went to the local part store. I was going to get y'all a part number for this seal. As you can see, it's got an extra dust shield built into the seal. This is actual grease seal part here. This here is the dust type shield. Hold on just a second. Now maybe you can see it better. Alright. See what I'm talking about? You got that lip there. Alright, I was going to show y'all another seal that would work in place of this one to get you out of the bind. But they give me the wrong seal. 2 weeks measuring, calling around and everywhere else. And they still ended up giving me the wrong seal. Let me show you here. That dust cover is what I'm talking about. Goes on here. Your seals around here to keep your grease in and dirt out. Then the dust shield part is all the way back here on the back edge to help keep mud and dirt out also. See what I'm talking about? Now putting this sucker back in is going to be a little harder because of that dust cover, but it can be done. Very gently. Get it started. I don't know if you can see, but I'm pulling that dust shield away from the edge, and I'd rather hit my finger than mess up the dust shield. Especially since the local part store can't even get me the right part. Alright, I got it started. I'm going to finish seating it with this punch. Doesn't have to go very far. You want it flush with the housing. You see how it's flush? Maybe just a little bit inset. It's the way you want it. You don't want it sticking way up half a seal. And you don't want it way down either, because then it won't seal to your spindle like it's. You don't want it way up above the housing, the hub housing, because then it'd be too deep here. It'd be like pushing way down on this, and it just is improper. And if you push it in too far, then it's going to be up against your bearing spinning, and that's not right either. Alrighty, so now we have the bearing and the seal in there. Ow! That felt wonderful. Okay. Same thing with this one. There's a fat side and a skinny side. Skinny side goes up. Solid. That's when you know to quit. You got it. Alrighty, we're going to throw a bearing in here. No, we're not. We're going to throw the bearing here on the paper towel. We're not going to put it in until we get the spindle and all back onto the Mahindra. So let's move over here. Alright, reassembly is pretty well the same as disassembly. The only difference is with your stuff clean and all, you will want to add grease to the places where your seals and bearings and stuff is going to ride. If you don't put grease where your seals are going to be, they'll get hot and it will, I don't know if it actually stick to it, but it will get hot enough that it'll melt it and make it the wrong size, and it'll go to leaking. So stick some in here, stick some on there. You can't never have too much lube. There we go. Get them holes lined up. Wrong boat. Dust cover back on. Go to put your dust cover back on. That top bolt that's lined up right here, it lines up with the bolt hole. This top bolt hole at the top up here on the side where it's open, it lines up with your top brake caliper bolt right there. So if you put it on wrong, then your brake caliper won't be able to bolt up. I like to put all my bolts in before I ever try to tighten anything up with a ratchet or impact or anything. That way you know you got them all lined up, you got them started. Make sure this is good and clean before you go to putting everything back together. Get you some cheap paper towel from the dollar store or Dollar Tree or something. That way you're not scared to use a lot of it. You can't be too clean with stuff like this, engine parts and stuff. I just keep wiping my hands on my britches. My britches are dirtier than my hands. Okay. Alrighty. There we go. Next is the hub. And the bearing. If you're going to discard this, these little old shims and junk, you put the bearing in. If you want to keep all that, then it goes in before you put the bearing in. Put the bearing in. Put your solid washer in. See that tooth? Now line it up with your spindle. After your solid washer, get your inner nut. When you're tightening the inner nut, you don't tighten it all the way. You don't get it killer tight. It's a lot easier with a it's a lot easier with a socket that goes on here. Like I said, I'll show you how to do all this without having $1 million worth of tools tied up in your toolbox. Okay. Like I said, this in here ain't got to be killer tight anyway. Alright. That fresh grease and all that, it is a little hard to spin, but it's not too tight. There's no play this away. I backed it off maybe a quarter of a round, probably an eighth, probably more like an eighth. Alright, your little peg on here, it goes pointing inward. It'll go up and under your nut that you just put on. Then you put your outer nut on. I know mine apart because I used a chisel, punch or chisel, to knock it off. It's been so long I don't even remember what I used. Anyway, made a little mark on it. Alright, you don't want a real sharp chisel. You don't want to be cutting your nut. You want it, all these daggone lights I got now, I got shadows everywhere. The outside one, the outside nut, you do want good and snug. You don't want it just killer tight. You do want it good and snug. You remember from taking it apart, your little washer with all little ears on it, you bend one or two of them, and that keeps your outer nut from coming loose. See there? That outer nut is tight, but it ain't affecting the wheel bearings none. Okay. Now's the time if you're putting worn hubs or mile marker or some other aftermarket hubs on it, now's the time you would put all that together, put all that on there. Now I'm going back with these for now. I will be getting me some worn hubs from dieselfreaks.com. Put your bolts in it just like you did on the spindle. Put your bolts all the way in, or at least get them started. Once you get them all in, snug them up. Alright, as you've seen, that's what it looks like. And no, it don't have threads. It's a knock-in kind. It just has teeth on it. Knock it in. You see, it's snug. You knock it in, take and go around the edge with it with a chisel or a punch or a fine punch or something, and you can really lock it in there good, because it's going to be kind of bowl shaped this way. So if you come in here and drive it back flat, see how it's pretty flat, it really locks it in good. Whenever you put grease in here, it'll go around the teeth of the axle, and it'll make its way in there. One thing I forgot to mention earlier was, if I wasn't going to grease it like this, you would have needed to put more grease on the bearings, like when you assembled it, put more grease in and all that. They say all that extra grease in between your bearings don't do a bit of good. So if your bearings ever get that hot that your grease turns into liquid, your bearings will run anyway. But I'm not putting it in there to save the bearings as far as them getting hot. I want to pack this thing full of grease, and it'll go in between my axle and my spindle and all, and it helps keep the muddy water and all out of it. Take a little grease, run in here, run around this O-ring, and makes it come out and go on a lot easier too. Here you go to popping and all. Grease and air start coming out of the back. That's when you know it's full enough. Alright, here we go. That dragging noise, if you can hear that, that's the brakes. That's not the bearings. They're loose enough. They're not flopping. That'll work. Good for the girls I go with. I hope this video was helpful. Sorry it's taking so long to get videos out. Now since me and Hillbilly both are working, it's harder for us to get together and make a video. Not be seeing more videos of just me or just him. But anyway, I would say the next video would be me putting my winch and all back on. I've already started. I've got the winch plate part of the way bolted on. Just something simple. It's a Harbor Freight 12,000 pound winch. Never had any trouble with them winches. The only time I've had any trouble with one is my 18. I had it stuck for over an hour. The winch and all was plumb underwater, and it got water into the electronics up there at the, in an old winch it would have solenoids. But this in here, this newer Harbor Freight has like a computer chip or whatever you call it. Anyway, it got wet, and then it didn't go out right then. It was months later it went out just from setting for months full of water. I didn't realize that it was that way, or I would have drained it and dried it out. But anyway, I know now. But like I said, Harbor Freight is never not warranted a part for us. So as long as they keep making good parts for cheap, we're going to keep using them. But anyway, hope you got something out of this video. Hope you can use it. Don't forget to like, share our video, comment. Hit that, go and subscribe to us. We're getting more and more subscribers. We got our Roxor videos are doing good. Our next video on the old International, 61 International, we're going to be driving it around. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment. If you see something that could have been done easier, leave a comment. Somebody might get some use out of it. Like I said, anything that I've done to this thing in this video, you can do with minimum tools and minimum know-how. Y'all take it easy, and I guess I'll catch you on the flip side.